Your children shouldn't be candles that light up on the hill. They should be freaking bonfires, guys. Let me talk to you about this. 25 years ago, when we were praying about whether or not we should homeschool, I literally went to God and said, help, I don't want to do this. I had noticed teenagers, though, walk in the streets, depressed, and all these teens that I knew and young adults seemed so burnt out on life and miserable. And here I had these toddlers at my feet that were these bright lights that were happy and just so full of life. And I went to the Lord and said, how, and when did this happen? When did they go from these beautiful little babies that were so happy to be alive to these teenagers who hated life? And was it possible to raise teenagers who didn't get there, who could keep that light of their toddlerhood all the way through their lives? So I said a prayer and I went to the Lord and I said, Lord, there's supposed to be lights on the hill. How do I keep them to be little lights on the hill? And he said, no. You don't put your candles on the hill when they're candles. He said, your little babies are just these little lights. You put them on a hill right now, the winds will come and snuff them right out. And that's what's happened to these other kids. You keep them home and you build them into bonfires. And when your children are bonfires, then you put them on the hill and then they will light the world. So that was my answer. Now, I did kind of argue a little bit because I was feeling a little insecure about homeschooling my children. And I said, but Lord, how will they be tough? How will they know what to do in the world? And he said, no. I have enough tough children. I need more children who will hear my voice. Keep them home and help them know how to talk to me. And I will build them into bonfires. Lo and behold, we homeschooled. 20 years later, I have 3 adult children, 2 more on the way, that now light up the room that they walk into. But it wasn't easy. It was a long trip, and I learned a lot along the way. And it's not just about keeping them home. Yes, that's number 1. Okay, keep them home. Number 2, sometimes you can be the one who puts that light out. It hurts. You guys, the day that I was praying, my kids were struggling. I was struggling. We couldn't figure out what was going on. The Lord said, you're the one putting out the light. Ow. Okay, you know why what I was doing? It's because I had a pre-planned curriculum. I had in mind who they were and what they were going to be and how they were going to get there. And what I learned was that was not going to work that way. Each child had their own gifts and talents and planned for their own lives. And I didn't really know who they were. I was learning to get to know them as they grew up. I was trying to raise a tomato plant and they were sunflowers. And so I had to step back and instead start observing my children. Who were they? What were their talents and skills? What were their weaknesses? How could we help those things to build and grow? So I had to first shift my own thinking. Then I had to make sure that the curriculums and lessons that we did fit those things. One child could not do a book for math. He needed an online program. I had another child who needed a tutor. I had another child who needed more mommy time in her lab. And that's okay. And so we adjusted as we went. Sometimes the light would go out when I would sign them up for a class. We would think the class would be great. Everybody talked about how amazing the class was and they would go. And it turns out the teacher was a bully and it was really hurting my child. And so I would pull them out and have to find a new teacher. It's all about the ability to adjust and to shift your children according to their needs and their wants and building their true gifts. So here I am 20 years later. And my children are bonfires. I can honestly, truly say, thanks to God, our children are bonfires. They are adults now. And when I kind of wondered, I thought, did I get the results I wanted? And another person came to me one day and said, I love it when your child enters a room because the whole room lights up when they come in. And that's when I realized that God had answered my prayers, that 20 years of keeping those kids home and really working on a daily basis on that light in their eyes has turned them into bonfires and they light up the room wherever they are. This was our goal. This is what we were able to achieve. We have 2 more children who are teenagers, but they don't have that grumpy teenage sag in their eyes. They still have the brightness of the toddlers that they used to be. Is it possible? Yes. And I'm going to share with you exactly how I did it. You can raise children who will light the world, and you can do it with the help of other homeschool moms just like us. Make sure you follow